And so what does it mean to do what it takes? What is this idea? What theory is being engaged there? What are we talking about?
It has to do with the theory of willingness, which is a masculine expression,
Mm-hmm.
and to do what it takes means to do whatever you have to do to create a better future for yourself and your community, but mostly the community.
Yeah. And what was the double bind that you mentioned?
Well, the double bind is they're trying to keep a tribal status so they can reap the benefits of that in the form of reserved jobs.
Yep.
So they want to achieve a higher social standing by working hard, by doing whatever it takes to get their higher social standing, but they don't want to get too high, because if they do, they will no longer be seen as a tribe,
Right.
and they could lose their benefits, which would drive them down on the social ladder.
So they're in this double bind. They need to have a higher standard of living. That the moment that they do, they're going to cross the threshold and start to lose the few benefits that might be afforded them as a scheduled tribe. Which means that their social status is going to fall, or their standard of life is going to fall. So it's a double bind. But this is one of the ways that they move around it. And how does it relate to ideas of identity, of Duncanus?
That's a really good question.
No, you answered it before. That's why I asked. Yeah, you were covering that before.
It's one where they differentiate themselves as a tribe. This is a feature of their tribe.
Yeah.
And they use this willingness to demonstrate their tribalness. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a mode of being that becomes quite very Dunka. It's a very Dunka way of being. So for a group of people that can't say claim their indigenous identity by referring to an area of land that's completely theirs, and that's where they derive their meaning. They don't have the ability to define their identity through essence. They identify it through process, through the way that they move through the world, their dispositions and their attitudes. Sound good? Was there a particular example that seemed like an empirical example that seemed to speak to this of willingness?
Oh, well, you were talking about the different jobs. Some different jobs.
The main thing we were talking about with willingness was just taking the lower ranking jobs.
Right.
That a lot of people in the upper caste would consider taboo and untouchable.
Right.
And by putting themselves in that position, they were able to, they kind of were all in it together,
Right.
taking those jobs.
That's good. And so if you were writing about this, you talk about the theory and all these kind of ideas, and then you say this is what it looks like. This is what the practices are. So taking jobs like this, that's the way that you explore the theoretical idea. And so you're always doing the two things that anthropologists kind of need to do. You have this theoretical stuff, a really good description of what's happening as well. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
May I ask what you meant by essence really fast?
So the way that we think about identity is commonly in terms of essence, right? Mm-hmm. So you are who your ancestors were, and they pass down to you like a thing or something like that. That's the way that we commonly think about it, right? That's commonly the way that people forge identities. But for some people, they don't have the capacity to do that, right? Indigenous people that have been moved from their land, or groups like the Dunka. So there's different ways that they are able to forge a collective identity.
Okay.
And they do it through the way that they do things rather than appealing to history or something like that.
So they have ties to their past ancestors, they just don't want to fully acknowledge it because that keeps them bound to those oppressions.
Yeah, it's one of the tensions that they negotiate. Great. Can we hear from the second group?
So we kind of, on how does one become a good woman in Dunka society. Of course, there's a lot of different parts to this, owning a home, respectability, being married. But I think one of them that we really found was a concrete example that was pretty representative of the whole of their ideals was their practice of purdah, which is the veiling of themselves. So it kind of led to getting out of the single narrative for the performance of femininity, and how like whereas it might be the veil might be a symbol of oppression of women, for them it's very respectable, and it is it also helps them have a political identity by aligning them with these middle caste and middle upper castes. It's helping to in this process of upward mobility, of social mobility. I think that was probably the most concrete example.
Yeah, that's excellent, right? So it's a respectability is what is being described here, but respectability has a political import, right? It's important for them to be respectable because that allows them to kind of sit in a higher social strata. So these kind of activities that may be seen, if you come from a Western perspective, as oppressive are actually a means of liberation. And there's a lot of really, if you're interested in this stuff, Laila Abdul-Lugod and Saba Mahmood write really wonderful texts about veiling and about feminism and the ways that we can kind of understand new types of feminism through the practice. So yeah, that's exactly right. So it's looking at the theoretical construct would be like femininity, right? It's looking at femininity and different forms of femininity in order to kind of understand different forms of feminism. Okay, that's a really good answer.
But yeah, well, it also ties into just like to further the thought of intimacies of everyday life and how does one become a good woman is. It's like a lot of it relates back to the home,
right.
And for people who have no home, like no land that they can go back, like relate to in essence, the home is a place of like that freedom, that domesticity, that that they value.
Yeah.
But
that
also
kind of, is a disjuncture when you come at it from a liberal perspective, like a Western liberal.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things that I found like a connection on a macro and micro level of even in the home you're veiled. And you're sheltered in your home, or not sheltered.
You might just jump to the next week, is that okay? Because we're running short on time.
Yeah.
And how did you go here thinking about marriage? So how does she engage the idea of marriage? What is marriage spoken about? How is marriage spoken about before her book? Or how would we think of marriage?
Well, she talks about the community aspect of the marriage, and one thing that we saw in the book was that we kind of, I guess this is more theoretical, although I wrote it under how it connects to the book's argument. It was about how, because the whole community is involved in the marriages, it's kind of like not really about the individual upward mobility, but more about I guess the community and how everyone is sort of aware of the abuse that women might go through. And there was also something in here stating what everyone does to help out with the marriage, how they pay for things and who brings the food and all that. So it's very organized and that kind of thing. But I kind of had trouble differentiating what I should put from the book under.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just those questions are just blunt instruments, but the way that you're talking about is right. Anything else? I mean, what other kind of practices are being described here? What's happening in this chapter?
Since there's a whole collective, there's a bunch of boys, a bunch of girls, and then they meet and get married.
Mm-hmm.
They also they try not to leave people out who would obviously never find a partner, someone it mentions in the book. There's a boy who had what was it? It was polio or something.
Right.
And so it's visible that the trauma of the disease is on him. And there was a woman who was getting too old, and so it's to families like, hey, you should have your child get married, so it'd be better for them, but they're not, it's not necessarily a force, but it's more like community pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And also, like, with these marriages, what's also being produced is community, right? Like, this is a way of creating community and of perpetuating Dunkanness through these kind of collective marriages. I feel like that's kind of right as well. Okay. Does that all sound pretty good? Like, there was some really good deconstruction of all three of these chapters. It's complex writing. Megan Moody's an incredibly good writer, I think. But the stuff is hard. So I think you did really well, particularly under time constraints, to deconstruct them as you did. And I hope that was going to be kind of helpful for writing these papers that you have to write. Okay, any questions about anything that we've spoken about? Yeah, please. Let's just like scrap paper. Maybe somebody's got some gossip on there too, because I took it from the faculty.
Just to reiterate, the bus paper is only 2 pages?
Yeah, just 2 pages. Yeah.
I was thinking about this.
When is that due again? No, October 26th, was it?
25th, I think. Yeah. I'll have to double check. I'm gonna send out an email as well, and I'll put some details, like a few dates and stuff. But just saying when office hours.
This one,
So hopefully a lot of you can make that. But if not,
At least one
just
page
email
of a
me
summary of the book, and then focus on something particular that pertains to the concepts.
we have to do that.
He just said that.
Yeah, whatever you
Full
like.
out.
Just use the bus is the thing that you can keep doing, but you can. It's like the
There's
object of
only 2
observation, but you
pages.
might be studying something else some time.
Somebody else.
I was thinking